I knew that I wouldn't be happy. I knew that I needed to do something different.
Mena Suvari is well known for iconic films American Pie and the multi-Oscar winning film American Beauty, her breakthrough role which earned her a BAFTA nomination. She continues to showcase her versatility on screen, including memorable appearances in 6 Feet Under, American Horror Story and Chicago Fire, and Mena is currently nominated for an Emmy for her role as Detective Thompson in the groundbreaking series RZR.
I really loved the story. I've just been really honored to have been thought of for a character like Detective Thompson. I mean, I've never spoken about this. It's so hard to put into words, but it's like...
Hey guys, welcome back to the WeAudition Show. And before we get into this episode, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been listening. And I want to ask a small favor. If you're enjoying the show, please hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening to the show and share it with a couple of friends that you think would be valuable, because that will allow us to carry on bringing you amazing guests like today's guest, who is the 2024 Emmy nominated Mena Suvari. Welcome. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me. It really means a lot.
Oh, no, thanks for being here. How does that feel, being an Emmy nominee? It's your first Emmy nomination, is it?
Oh, yes. It feels really beautiful, but it's very strange for me because I haven't always, lived my life in the sense of that's all I ever wanted to strive for. It's something that I never even really considered for myself, I guess I could say. So it's very surprising. And I'm just really trying to process it still and absorb it and just live in the gratitude. Really just try to encompass it in the way that I want to.
And for anyone that hasn't seen the show you're nominated for is called RZR. It's on Gala Film. And it's a new platform. It's a streaming platform that allows people to get involved in the show on a deeper level through the use of blockchain and crypto. But ultimately, it's a streaming platform where people can watch the series for free. Am I right?
Yes, for free. We have 8 episodes. They're 15 minutes long. So it's a very, a short form series. But yes, we're on Film Gala, and it's just been really exciting overall to just be a part of this project and get to experience this world. I really loved the story when it came to me, and I've just been really overall honored to have been thought of for a character like Detective Thompson. So it's been really, really awesome, this entire experience. But I feel safe in saying that I don't think anybody or any of us really expected this outcome. And so it just makes it even more special because of how small our project really is.
It feels like a movie for sure. When you watch it, it feels like a big world and a massive production, and it's short form content. Were you worried that it was short form content when it was pitched to you?
It's funny. No, I wasn't. And I guess it's because I feel like I work in so many different spaces and within so many different formats in a way. It was new in that sense, like on paper, but obviously it adds so much, knowing who else is involved. We had incredible cast and incredible directors. And so all of that, no, I wasn't really nervous. I was more excited and curious. And it never felt, it felt just really wonderful all the time on set. I felt like, if anything, I know how to work quick. But I always felt like we had the time to talk about anything, to wrap our heads around it. I felt completely supported at any moment. It didn't, just because we were shooting, the series this way. I think everybody did it in they executed it in such a smart way that it really doesn't look like that. I mean, we had our simple location downtown in Los Angeles, but I mean, it was used to the max. It's incredible what they came up with creatively. And so, yeah, that's just a testament to everybody involved, just the passion behind this project to really execute this vision. So for me, that was just the the most fun. I mean, as the actor coming to play, being thought of, being invited into this world, it was just the greatest gift. And a lot of people don't know too. I mean, this is just something within the industry. This came about top of the year in January 2023. This is sort of a time where we're coming out of the holidays. You know, the business is gearing back up. For me personally, I've had many moments where I'm not like really expecting anything, you know, and this just was this gift. Here it was. And we were able to work in Los Angeles, and just the storyline, I felt like it was something so possible, you know, that would be happening within the next 5 years here. It was just so wild, and it felt really cool and modern. And I just was, I just really appreciate being thought of, because that's all it really comes down to. Somebody thought of me and invited me into this world, you know?
I know we're talking about the creator, David Bianchi, reached out to you, or I mean, for any actors listening, that might want to be thought of in the future in their career, how does that process work? Did you get an offer, or did your team look for this project?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for asking me that question. I don't have an extensive amount of producer experience, but the best of my knowledge, yes. I mean, for the most part, you have a project that is going into development, that will hold a particular budget that will then influence the people that they're thinking of or have in mind. And sometimes those names can be on a list. And sometimes it's a matter of those creatives looking at that list and considering those names and what they mean to them. And so, yeah, that's just the space that I've learned to live in and want to live in. I like to be aware of that, be considerate of that, be appreciative of that, because it's not just something that happens out of nowhere. There's a lot of people that go into making that decision. And yeah, I mean, sometimes I have conversations about that, and that's really interesting to me. Like, there are times where, there was actually one pilot season that I was auditioning and auditioning and auditioning. And the one pilot that I thought, there's no way, I would never be considered for this, was the one that I actually got. And so it's just really interesting sometimes to, like, I don't know, to experience that. I enjoy that. Like, why did you think of me? What was it about me that, or did, you know, there's a project that I am attached to now and working with the director, and they just saw an interview that I gave. It wasn't even like a piece of work that I did. So it's really interesting for me to like see how people think of me, or, you know, maybe I feel a lot with Detective Thompson that, you know, I owe a lot to these people because, for example, with RZR, with RZR playing Detective Thompson, that's a character that I've always felt within myself and I've always wanted to play. But then that has to move to the next step of somebody else seeing that and believing in that as well. Right. And I have to, you know, I'm curious about that, and I'm very grateful for that. You know, it's a relationship. There's so much that goes into all of that, but I've really learned, over the years, I'm curious about that. And I like to incorporate it into everything else that it's
like a puzzle, isn't it? Yeah. Everything sort of fits in your value as a talent to the potential distribution and the roles that you want to play. If you don't want to reiterate roles from the past and things like that, it's a dance that I think the whole team, from the producing side and your agent and manager team, will do to make sure that thing fits, and then it culminates into something great. Like you said, you're doing a role that you wanted to play but didn't have the opportunity to before, and then that's the one that's nominated for the Emmy. It's kind of amazing in that way.
Yeah, it's really weird. And I really I'm very spiritual about it too. I really try to hold a lot of space and pull back and allow that to happen, you know?
Do you feel like maybe they took a little bit of a risk with this, or do you think it was I don't know, was it a risk to cast you in this? Because I think you fit it absolutely perfectly. You know, you look at it and you just see the character.
I don't know. I mean, I think that'd be a question to ask them. For me, I don't think I could answer that because, like I said, I really wanted to play it, and I'm just grateful to have been thought of. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of, I mean, that's part of our experience, you know? I mean, that's why that's part of why I enjoy what I do, is because I get to experience that. I get to have these moments of like, oh, wow, I didn't know that you saw that in me. And maybe that influences me to work on that within myself. Like there's so much that's why it's very spiritual for me. It's like, it's a, I don't know. It's kind of like an ever evolving thing. I've always just had this interesting relationship between where I'm at in my life personally and the type of work that's come my way. That's something that I picked up on a long time ago. I remember one of those moments being when Alan Ball thought of me for 6 Feet Under. He thought of me to come in as this performance artist character, this woman named Edie. And I was terrified to do it. I was so terrified, thinking I didn't understand how he saw that in me. But yet I knew, or I believed that, you know, I would only be holding myself back or experiencing so much if I passed and didn't take this opportunity, right? But I pushed through that to do that. And through all of that terror and fear, you know, that also propelled me personally, you know, so that's always the work that I'm doing if I have the opportunity, you know, I mean, not like everything, but there's always that there for me. I've played so many real life people. It's weird to me. And I'm always trying to like understand the message that can lie there within my work.
I think as actors, we're always trying to juggle that thing of feeling typecast in the early years and not wanting that, and then struggling to get out of that. But then creators that look at your work and your body of work, they, you know, a good showrunner, a good world designer, if you like, will see that in different actors. And one of the things I find most magical is when I see an actor step out of that box that we're used to with them. I'm thinking of Matthew McConaughey when he did Dallas Buyers Club, or any of these other actors which step out of the role, which is what you've kind of done with Detective Thompson. And do you think that will propel you into a different genre of work going forward now?
I mean, I would hope so, but I feel like I've had such a variety of types of you know, things that I've worked on and roles that, you know, for a really long time, I think I've been doing that. And that was something that took conscious effort, whether or not I was actively doing that at the time. I knew that I was at least following my passion and the things that inspired me, you know, so I think that sort of indirectly happened for me. I mean, I'm an Aquarian. I am not going to play the same thing. I am not interested in playing the same thing over and over. And so I need change. I need to grow. And that was just something that I think just indirectly happened for me earlier on in my career, because I couldn't do anything other. You would be stifling my soul. You know, so there were times where I chose to work on material that was probably confusing for a lot of people, but you know, it's my journey. So,
do you have any advice for anyone who's sort of stuck in a rut and feels like they're just being offered the same roles that they're not really interested in?
I mean, it's so sweet that you even asked me this question, but I think I've really, it's like for me, in my experience, like I said, it'd be stifling my soul. I knew that I wouldn't be happy. I knew that I needed to do something different. I knew that I needed to follow those interests. And I think that no matter what, anyone will still have that voice, you know, wherever it is in your mind that's still fighting for what you want. You know, I just had this conversation yesterday about somebody telling me to just filter out the noise, There's so much of that. And what that really means is just coming back to you, who you are as an individual, what you want to do, coming up with that idea and seeing it. David Bianchi, here you go. Perfect example. Someone that was just like, yeah, nope, thank you so much. I see it. Here it is. And I'm going to make it happen. That's it.
Was that something that really attracted you? Is that kind of auteur in David, that he was really in control of that world and was so clear on it? Did that help you as an actor?
I honestly didn't know the extent of the story. I mean, I feel like I heard a lot more of it when we just had our Emmy celebration or Emmy nomination celebration. And he was talking about how he and Noelle met and came together, and like he didn't even have a script.
Yeah.
Like mind blowing. And it was so cool. Those are the people that we're talking about. You know what I mean? These are the people that are doing it in every way. So even though I didn't know the full story, the extent of all of that, yes, David still wholeheartedly is that person and was that person. And for someone like me, I mean, I like to ask, I'm very Aquarian. I like to ask a lot of questions, and I like to understand as much as I can. I really enjoy that collaborative effort. I'm very technical, and David was there for anything that I needed, any moment. And I really appreciate that because, I mean, that to me is extremely admirable. I don't know how. I don't know how he was able to handle so much, so many times where you're performing, but you're producing it. I mean, it's just.
He had a plant in his brain.
A neural implant.
Yeah, that's what it is.
This is not fiction, it's fact.
It was documentary.
But that's a perfect example of just the stories we tell in Hollywood of like having an idea, not taking no, finding a way, finding your people, and making magic. It's so possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about spirituality earlier and probably a bit of manifesting there. And what's so interesting is one of our first episodes was with David Bianchi before the nomination even existed. And he was so clear. He's like, this is you're going in for an Emmy. It's going to get nominated, and bingo, here we are interviewing the nominees. So, whatever you want to call that, whether it's manifestation or whether it's just pure drive or whatever. I mean, this episode literally shows that it's possible and has happened.
I mean, it's really true. I was just having this conversation too the other day. I mean, we all know that like particles behave differently when we apply our attention to it, right? It's like, it really matters our perspective in that process of manifestation. So yeah, I mean, it truly comes down to that. I think we just have to like remember that. We keep forgetting.
Have you always had that perspective? Have you been that way all your life, or has that been a change for you?
More just kind of spiritual, or
and positive, and not spiritual, or the perspective that helps you literally manifest these kind of successes in your life.
Well, I think it's just, unfortunately, like I said, I'm an Aquarian. It's not really great at times because I'm always just like thinking and like wondering always. So yeah, I kind of live in that airy space. And I have to, because that's just really what serves me. It helps me navigate things a lot easier when I understand that it's really all energy, and it's just about really living in the gratitude and feeling the love and being grateful for it. That's truly the reality of what we're in. And so I just try to use that to fuel me. Because that's what I mean about processing this in like a healthy way. All of this, of what's happening, I really, I'm just really trying to absorb it in the healthiest way, think about what it means to me, think about even more how I want to work, moving forward. It's a lot. It's a lot of things. But overall, I think it's about trying to, like, I'm always trying to think about how I can recycle everything, right? Recycle and reuse.
And what was your process like? No, you're just giving me loads to think about there. I told you
I'm not Aquarian. I'm usually that person in the conversation. People are like, okay.
Well, you know, it's what's really interesting because I'm sitting here thinking of ways as you're talking of how I can apply those little nuggets to my own career. And I think there'll be people at home listening doing the same. You know, we're trying to take tips and tips
of how
to bring that into our own world.
I just think about the times where I love these stories where you hear, you know, the 20 no's that they got, you know, and what it taught them, how not to give up. And yeah, I'm always trying to use everything that I learn in the healthiest way possible.
Darren, you always say to me that if something bad happens in your life, he always says, right, this could be really useful. This could be really useful. Yeah, remember it when stuff bad happens.
Oh yeah, there's so many
like an
times.
Emotion.
Yeah,
if life was perfect,
gotta remember it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I always play bad characters, you know. So if life was perfect, I'd have nothing to put in my characters.
No, but that's what I mean about really trying to feel integrated and connected so that I can use all of it. I feel like maybe I'm kind of coming to this understanding that maybe that's part of my existence here is like to feel things for other people. Like I'm just this vehicle for other people. But the more that you become integrated with it, the more you can use it. For sure. And there have been times where I've caught myself in this dimension, like personally experiencing something. And this is weird. This is like the woo-woo that I'm talking about.
Buckle up. I'm in. Let's go.
Like personally, let's say I have to go work that day.
Yeah.
I have noticed this, and this is weird. I've had something personally happen in my life that's put me into that energetic space. And it's exactly what I need to be feeling for that character. It is weird. And I connect that and I'm like, okay, then I'll use that. So I try to use that in those moments. I can't, you know, tell you word for word, like the exact example, but it was just times where I, like, let's say I felt like, a tension and an anger or something. I would then be aware, like, oh, that's the scene I had to shoot today. And I'll try to put it there. I'll try to focus it into there because, and I think again, because I didn't have this formal training. And I've said before when I wrote my book that I truly believe that art and me having this career has given me the ability to save my life in a lot of ways because I was allowed to, let's say if I take that emotion, I'm allowed to express it. I was able to express it in that character in that moment and let it go and like put it somewhere, you know? And I think back to the times in my life where if I didn't have that as an outlet, I don't know. It's like a
form of therapy in a way, acting to help those emotions get out so you don't keep them inside. Is that? I think
I tried to use it as that. Yeah. I tried, like I said, tried to recycle, reuse, you know, how can I take this? And because I would notice that, ironically, I'm at work. Oh, how ironic that like I have to play this character. That's like a theme, an emotional beat in this scene. So I'll just put it in there. And then it's like, I don't know. It's sometimes I'm like, did something happen to kind of help me get in that space? I don't know. But that's how I like to, and I choose to live my life. I'm always very open and I'm always in conversation with whatever's going on.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're playing real human beings most of the time, except in certain fiction. So you want to be able to show these real human emotions. And I think we always talk about this, Rich, don't we? A lot of actors in their journey up to, for instance, where you are now, they miss out on a lot of life because they're trying so hard to do the acting. And actually, the life experience is what you then get to put into the sort of roles you've done in your career because these multifaceted things have emotions.
I mean, the times where, and I remember that space. I don't remember the projects, but I do remember just putting so much focus and energy into like trying to figure out what they want. And if I can figure out what they want, I can be that.
They might not even know themselves.
This is
I don't
what
think
I
they
mean.
do, to be honest.
All that did was not serve me. Because then, and we all know this. I mean, I'm sure everybody kind of, there's many conversations about this, or we then learn that we can look back and say, oh, like none of that was serving me because it was just, I wasn't living authentically. I wasn't just learning to see the value, the unique value in myself that we all have, and learning how to just move with that, right? And understanding that there are things that, I mean, this is the perspective that I choose to have, that there are just things that are meant for me and things that are not meant for me, and I have to, again, this is my choice and how I choose to live my life, but I choose to, I have to hold a certain amount of space for that. I don't want to completely lose myself and trying to make, you can't control things. There's only so much that we can do. And I'd rather live in a space of trying to authentically be myself, than trying to make myself something that I'm not. I think that overall, that's not the point. The point is that we're all here collectively as individuals, as unique, beautiful individuals, to complement one another. We don't need to feel like we need to be somebody else. That's the noise. It's like,
and that's really powerful. You have a unique perspective as an actor, and that's what you should concentrate on bringing to the table in each role. And I think often people in a casting situation, they'll be like, what do they want versus let me bring my interpretation to the role. And there's no right or wrong. I think Bryan Cranston spoke about this a lot. Once he started just bring his interpretation to the role and leave it at the door. This is what I got. And this is what I got from the material you gave me. And that's it.
Yeah. Because it's energy. And if you really think about it, I mean, how consciously or subconsciously people are feeling that, it's just about authenticity. It's like, it's noise. It's like static. You're changing your radio station to try to be something else. It's like, just tune into your channel. Yeah. You're you. And that's okay. And not everybody's going to see it, and that was really hard for me as somebody who's like come out of a lot of trauma. I've had to do a lot of work, especially currently. This is why I was having a lot of these conversations, to let these things go, to not live in that. Someone like me has been so conditioned to live in a space of fear that I have to work so hard to be what you need me to be so that I can be accepted. It's like you have to do so much work to let that go, to just be who you are and trust. You have to trust that the things are going to come to you. And I've had crazy things where, I mean, I had an offer on a project that I was ready to do. All of a sudden, it wasn't mine. I mean, it was almost like illegal, the things that happened. And then I got an offer with the same overall company. I met my husband on that project.
Wow. So
if I had taken that other one, you know what I mean? And that's my choice. Do I want to live in a space of aggression and upset and, bitterness over not getting that?
Yeah.
I could, and that'll take me here. Or I could say, all right, there's got to be something bigger than this.
We're not in control, for sure.
I'm not in control, and it wasn't mine. For some reason, it wasn't mine. It wasn't meant. I wasn't supposed to be there. Like, that's the hardest work, is to trust and then be like, okay, maybe there's something else that's meant,
Well, I really feel like you have to do a balance. It's a dance of being proactive when you can be. I mean, that's why David got this show up and whatever. And then letting it go to the universe and seeing, I think what I got from that story from you is seeing the benefit that you got out of that other job, which was not only, I'm sure the job was great as well, but you also met your husband. But then there's these proactive choices you make. I mean, I think personally, I was supposed to be in London the day that we met, you and I. But when David called me and asked me to be, because I play a small role in one of the episodes, for anyone that doesn't know, of RZR. And
I love your characters.
Thank you. But I was supposed to be on a flight to England because we were doing a big WeAudition event there. And and luckily I have Richard as a great business partner. And I called him at the final hour and said, you're going to have to start this event alone. I'm flying in the next day and I'll be there at like midday. And I did the shoot at RZR, jumped straight on a plane, flew to London. And
met with a coffee from your business partner. I have to say,
he was. Listen, this is technology. He was tracking me on the iPhone, so he knew exactly when I was walking in the door to give me a coffee. And we walked straight from that door, straight
on stage,
straight on stage. And you know, these
That's
things.
Amazing.
We wouldn't be here on this chat right now if all those things didn't fall into place. We're so out of control. We make one little decision, and then I didn't know that day that a year later we'd be celebrating your Emmy nomination win. You know, it's crazy.
So I think that's the real work, and that's the real strength involved. I mean, I had a conversation with a friend who ultimately got me to this place where they were just, because like I said, if, you know, we were having a personal conversation, they're like, you need to trust. You have to trust. It's like, it really comes down to a lot of that. And that's just the hardest work, to be like, I'm going to let this go and I'm just going to believe, you know, that something will come out of this. And I think, so for me, I tried to kind of, like you were saying earlier, like do your work, kind of leave it in the room, you know, as an example with RZR, it's like, I know what I'm coming into and I'm so excited about it. And I'm over the moon, extremely grateful to not only have this opportunity to be working with incredible people. And that's it. And I'm going to focus on that. And I'm going to focus on my relationships. And I'm going to focus on, you know, to me, when I'm hired as the actor, and especially coming into a project like RZR, all I care about is David being happy. That's your vision. I'm here for you. I want to make sure that I execute it for you in the way that you hoped it would be done. And that's it. That's it. I don't think about anything else. I'm not like, maybe this will go, so maybe someone will nominate. Like, I don't do that. I care about the work I do, you know, being a good student and the relationships that I form, and then I let it go. And because I have to, or I choose to use all of the rest of my energy to, I want to focus it on good things to think about, right? Like, I don't want to think about,
worry about things that aren't, necessarily going to happen.
Well, just in the sense of like, oh, maybe, I mean, people ask me this a lot when I worked on American Beauty. It's not like I just read that script and said, this is going to win awards, I got to be in it. Like, I didn't have that perspective. I was filing for unemployment. Like, I was just grateful to have a job. I was just grateful to be hired. And I was grateful that I was working with really talented, experienced people. And I hope to learn something. That's it. You know, and that makes me just personally feel my best, because it's like I'm learning to just be happy with what I have. If I can just do a good job with what I have, you know, like that's my perspective every day. If I can just answer all my emails, I can get my work done, I can just do the best that I can every day, then I'm good with that. But I can't get ahead of myself. If I get so ahead of myself, I'm going to lose myself, you know?
If you'd like to join the WeAudition community, go to weaudition.com/show to get 25% off. Now, back to the show.
I mean, that said, though, you are very supportive of a project after the project as well. So we've, seen you showing up to the interviews and doing social media. How important do you think that is for the journey of a project, for the actor to be part of that process as well?
Oh, gosh. I mean, well, a lot's changed for me. I mean, I I remember having a pager, so I'm still like, I'm on
The pager.
I did as well.
I'm on Instagram now, but like I used to have Facebook and Twitter and all that. Like, it's so much. I have my Instagram, and I've definitely been learning more how to do that. But I think that it is very critical nowadays. I mean, I remember when, like, even if you're doing an appearance or whatever, there's always like, even if it's just one page of a contract, right? Like, I remember seeing in contracts, like, must post, like, must do X amount of posts. And I remember thinking, like, what?
I've
like,
seen those. Wow,
yeah, but I remember when all of that was changing, and all of a sudden it was like part of your deal. Like, you needed to promote. So, yeah, I think it's all very important. It's not my favorite part because I'm just not that person to be like, hey, like, you know, I'm Mena Suvari. Like, I just don't feel like that. So it's like,
I quite like that character though. That's like an SNL version of yourself.
I like to play that version, but it's like in real life, it's really hard for me to be like, I'm an Emmy nominee. Like, it's just awkward for me. And so, yeah, I just really try to like think about it in the healthiest way. But I'm learning how to do that. And I definitely see the importance of it because, like I said, I feel like critical is a really good word because it's like everything is so fast and, it's just like, you're going to miss it. You know what I mean? If you're not, really doing promotion and I mean, just, I've learned so much just being a part of RZR and everything, with Gala and how they've, promoted this show. It's really, I want to learn more. I want to get better at the tech, the tech side of being, my best like influencer promoter, but I'm just not very good. Social media.
I think you are. Maybe.
I mean, you're doing pretty well in my opinion, but no, I think as technology moves along though, I mean, we used to go into rooms and do auditions and now we have self-tapes, and back in the day, there'd be endless press junkets, and now there's a mix of press junkets and Instagram posts and podcasts like this and whatever. So I think it just goes through different motions, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's yeah, I remember that. Yep. We'd walk into a room, have a round table of people in person.
Do you miss that?
I mean, parts of it, but then also as somebody who like that kind of stuff makes me nervous. I know that that's weird, but I just don't, makes me feel uncomfortable. There's certain aspects of things being online, like in regards to the audition process, that I feel are pretty awesome because it feels like we have a bit more control, you know? I mean, I know it's still happening, but it's like, I mean, back in the day, you just walk in, it's 25 people, you have one shot. You know what I mean? It's terrifying. And so now when we have self-tape, it's kind of like, well, I can run it all day before I send it in, you know? It's like a little fun in that sense.
Do you still do self-tapes, if you don't mind me asking? Do you still audition for stuff all the time?
Yeah.
Or? Yeah.
Not all the time, but yeah, I think
we
that...
thought it'd be offer only into your inbox every day.
Every day.
It's such an interesting question. And I really don't feel like that is the perfect reflection of the industry. And like, I'm all about having honest conversations. So I think that, I think that overall we've seen the business change a lot and our industry has gone through a lot recently in the last couple of years. And it's been really challenging for a lot of people. And I think that when you have less work, you've got more competition. That's always part of the mix. And that's up to you. I don't ever want to present myself as somebody like that. You know, I'm collaborative. I understand that it's also a business. I understand that. I mean, there are many times where if I'm going to meet somebody, I might, Google them and look at their photo and I get a vibe off of their photo. I mean, it makes sense. So for me to say like offer only and you're not going to see me at all in a vibe, I mean, obviously case by case basis, but I think it's overall, in my opinion, smart to open yourself up and expose yourself. And you never know. There's been many opportunities where I've gone in and I didn't get that role, but they thought of me for something else and they brought me in and wrote something for me. Like it's, and I have met people and had conversations where in all honesty, they felt living in that space of offer only held them back. So it's a personal opinion, and that's, I feel it's very important you have to be careful who you surround yourself with. I've worked really hard to get a great team. That's obviously key, right? That's obviously key. But I don't think it's healthy to just live in this space of no accessibility, no like availability, just kind of like mom over here and just think of me when, just for me, I feel like it can be a bit of an ego coming into play, and I don't want to let my ego get in the way.
Well, to your point earlier as well about exploring different characters and stuff, an audition's an opportunity to do that. It's an opportunity to show that you have a different side or a different idea of the character that they might even be thinking of. So I think it's really, really fun and useful to do that. I personally definitely quite enjoy the audition process, and I love self-tapes because I do them on my schedule in my space and I get them done. And I love that thing of not having to put it on a certain day at a certain time and all of that. You've got this one moment to perform at your best.
When you're ready. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have that producer's line of people sitting there on their phones while you're doing your best work, because that's off-putting.
25 people looking just like you. Do you remember like Joey's hand twin?
I had an audition once. It was like it was a half hour TV, and it was like stadium seating. And one of the execs just looked like so like he just did not want to be there. And I had to be like, hey, no.
That's my 20s auditioning for commercials every day.
Oh,
that was it. Yeah.
So, the first commercial I ever did, it was a Rice-A-Roni commercial. I walked out of there. I thought, there is no way in hell this casting director, there's no way I got the job. And this casting director absolutely hates me. And that was the job I got and got my SAG card. So this is what I mean. Like,
that was your first ever job.
Get out of my head. And just like the other one, I was like, I'm not going to go on audition. It's like, I wouldn't cast me. They're not going to cast me in this. That was the one I got. So it's like, it's up to me to move past that. Do I want to give myself the shot, or do I think that I am not going to, get it?
They saw something, didn't they? Maybe that same energy that you thought they hate me, maybe they thought, we love her, she's got something.
I don't know, but to me, maybe as an artist, that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity for me to grow and learn something about myself and work with that.
We're often wrong about what we think as well from the other side. I mean, hearing that story, I had exactly the same experience. My first ever job, which was a Dr. Pepper commercial. They brought in six guys at once. And the little scene, I remember it very clearly. You had to feel like you had an upset stomach. So like grumbling and they moved along the camera like this. And the first guy did all of his grumbling acting and, oh, my stomach hurts. And he was like really milking it. And then they moved to me and I started to have a slight little pain in my stomach. And then they like moved on. And I'm like, was I that bad? They moved on already. And I remember as they went down the rest of the line, everyone got a longer shot than me. And I was like, was I that bad? They just skipped me. No, I was right for the job and they moved on.
But
and
see
I got the
how
job
that's what I mean? Like you can take all of that and then let it ruin you when you leave the room.
Exactly. And it did for a little bit. It's my second ever audition.
Yeah. I had an audition once where, and I think it was the writer. I wasn't sure who it was when I went in there, but there were two producers in the back that sat on a sofa like this. And then there was one guy in the front who sat so close to me with my resume, just like this.
You don't look like your photo.
Like literally holding my resume and watching me like a few feet away. And I was so affected by it. I remember driving away, like bawling in the car. Just bawling, like what was happening? I didn't get that one the way that you got yours, but but the point is that's the work, right? Like walk in, you're you do your best, and you leave it in the room. And you can't overthink any of that, you know? I've also had people in the room tell me, this is amazing. Yes, yes, yes. And then it didn't happen.
Oh,
it's like, you know, you know, those things come with experience, but I think you have to, and I've learned that through others, you know, on how to, you know, not let it break you, not let it, you know, to just keep walking in with that same spirit, right?
Yeah. You got to go forward in that way, haven't you? Can you talk to us a bit about...
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, the more that I've made it about like really enjoying it and forming those relationships, it's been really wonderful and beautiful. And it's not so much about like I don't know, like the role, or it's like overall the experience. I've really been enjoying that. Yeah.
Can you talk to us a bit about your process for the character of Detective Thompson in RZR and the world that she lives in? Because obviously that, for anyone that hasn't seen the show, it's heavily based in sort of dystopian LA. It's got a lot of crypto, blockchain. Was it new technology to you? How did you approach that world and living in that world authentically?
The person that I looked to the most was David, because I felt like he was my greatest resource. He gave us, if we wanted it for all of our characters, we had backstory, we had glossary, right?
Wow.
Yeah, we had an extensive amount of material that David shared with me. I really wanted it. And so I was able to work with all of that. Like I said, I always had David at any moment to discuss anything with. And then, for me, it's everything else that everyone else has worked so hard on to provide. Working in our location. Also having, the hair and makeup, everything that goes into the look. Dawn Ritz, our costumer. That was all of that together helps me find the character. But those were huge pieces. The more I was thinking about Dawn and everything that she really, built for us as an actor, a lot of that comes to life for me through that process. Yeah.
The costumes and art direction, I think, on RZR are one of its real strong points. That world is really there. And do you think the costume helped you in getting into character? Because she's very intelligent. Sort of like,
That's what I'm trying to say. It's everyone else that's involved in creating this character that helped me find it as well. Because yes, as an actor, when it communicates so much. Especially with your wardrobe. When I think about Detective Thompson, that really added to the whole feeling of these characters in this world. And so for me as an actor, all of that helps me find it and feel it. It's very different for me. Like, it's hard to describe, but it's like if I'm just, wearing my own clothes, and then when I'm stepping into, I actually feel a transformation into that. I can feel that. So,
for anyone who hasn't seen it, Detective Thompson is not a pretty dress wearing dancing girl, is she? She's she's fierce and intelligent, and she wears almost military outfits, I'd say, and that must help you as well, like you're saying.
Yeah, a lot of our characters, everything's very like, it's edgy, Richard's character, he had this like leather jacket with like spikes all over it. Yeah, everything's very sci-fi. Like gritty and sci-fi and edgy and tough. And Detective Thompson, like there's one time where we see her hair a little bit down, but it's like a tight ponytail. Everything's like sleek and like you said, sleek and like militaristic and I had these big combat boots on, and like, so just the feel of all of that, of that clothing, that hair and that makeup as an actor. I mean, I've never like spoken about this. It's like so hard to put into words if I can, but it's like, it helps me feel that. I can then feel her through that. If I put on a sundress, I'm going to be feeling like totally different, but
she doesn't matter.
And so that's why it's so important. I mean, it's a collaborative effort. It's everything that goes into us being able to find these characters and make this world. It's so important. So yeah, all of that helped me find it. Yeah.
One of the most simple techniques I've ever had for acting is put the shoes of the character
on. I was thinking the same thing.
And especially now we're doing a lot of self-tapes at home and stuff, you could technically do it in your underwear from your waist down. But I mean, for me, I want to put the shoes of the character on because it's going to change the whole way I present my body and walk around.
Yeah, that's so funny because I just worked on something and people are always like, we don't see your feet. You don't need it. But I'm like, can I get my shoes
I need it.
for wardrobe? Because I'm maybe wearing heels. I'm wearing something that's going to affect my posture. So I'm like that too. Even if you don't see it, I still, like I remember working on something once and then like, when my co-star was opposite, when they were off camera, they were like wearing their robe. And I just remember thinking like I would, so like, not that I let it throw me off, but I just remember thinking like, I wouldn't do that. Like I would still, out of respect, stay in that character. I would be wearing what I'm wearing. That's how I work because I care about how it's feeling all the time.
Yeah.
And it feeling authentic, and that energy feeling authentic and still connected and not broken,
Yeah. That's a hangover from the Zoom COVID days, isn't it? Everyone in their robes on Zoom. It's just, I'm
always that person that I'm like, can I be there for you? If you think there's no space for me to stand, can I find a place to be your eye line? Can I be there for you? Yes, I want to wear the outfit. Yeah. I care a lot about fighting for that. It's not I don't know.
That's
awesome.
Not
a vacation for me. It's not like,
this was a very giving acting partner there. You want the scene to be good. And I think it kind of behooves people when they do that step away thing. I've done my bit. Ultimately, what the viewer's going to see is your scene. So you're as important for the other character as you are for when the camera's on you.
I've seen some crazy stuff. Oh yeah.
Have you? Tell us about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, just, like hearing when people have been asked if they want to give their off-camera lines and their response is, I'm good.
Yeah.
They
get someone else to read them in.
Yeah, because they're just like busy, I guess. It's like, yeah. So that always breaks my heart. And I always like to come in because, again, I like to think about, excuse me, about, why I'm there and who I'm there to be. You're hiring me as the actor, right? I'm not your producer. I'm not your producing partner. So for me personally, I like to come in and I care a lot about your vision. I'm here for you. Yes, this is a collaborative effort, but I care a lot about how I can be that vessel for you, how I can help bring your story to life. Yeah. It never leaves like a good taste in my mouth when I see people come in with such strong opinions that aren't hired in that capacity. And there's all kinds of things that can happen on sets, but yeah, these are just some of the things that I personally, like to the space that I like to live in and how I like to work with others and how I think it's important because how it helps it overall move.
It does.
Better.
It's an opportunity as well. If you're there reading off camera, you might spark something. That energy might be there a little bit differently. And actually that might inform your take when you're back on camera, or it might inform the scene or a later scene or the dynamic with that other actor. It might make there might be bad vibes between you and them because you didn't do that work. And then later on, that might manifest in something. I don't know. I'm a big fan of helping.
Yes, I agree. And I think, and I always try to look at it too, is like, we're only here for so much time. It astounds me when people check out and I'm like, but that's what you're left with, and you're only here for a certain amount of time. Right. So, I care a lot about, of being professional, my work ethic, and really coming in to get the job done, but have it be as fun and enjoyable as possible. Because I've seen like every other way it can go, and it's just so bananas to me.
Well, you have a really big couple of weeks coming up. You're going to be nominated for an Emmy in the 2004 awards, and you also have a film at TIFF, right? At the same time. That's a big couple of weeks.
I know. It's really wild. We're gearing up now. I'm really excited. We have a film called Ick with Joseph Kahn, and it's like a wild creature feature. And I'm really, really excited. That one also was a lot of fun to be a part of, because kind of similar with RZR and our technology, I'm playing like my younger self. So there was like de-aging involved. Yeah, it's really wild. So, but I remember some of these things too, on with RZR, just as kind of like the way that we're shooting things now, and our scans.
Do you enjoy going
and
to
things
film
like
festivals?
This. Yeah. I mean, the only downside for me is that I never get to see anything else, or like I'm not there long enough to like really enjoy it. Like I'd love to go and just wear jeans and a t-shirt and watch everything, but I'm there to do my job for the movie. So it'll be quick, but no, it's the biggest gift. I mean, I love my Ick fam. It's just incredible. I mean, these are the moments, when you put so much love into something, and just the fact that you're like acknowledged is a gift.
Well, this has been absolutely amazing. You've given some great insight into how you do your work. You've given us amazing tips for our audience as well. So we really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Really lovely to have you on. Thanks for listening to the WeAudition Show. Your hosts were Darren Darnborough and me, Richard Cambridge, from WeAudition, the leading professional actors community where you can connect, learn, elevate your career, and always get a self-tape reader on demand. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're a WeAudition member, or even if you're not, we would love it if you could please subscribe to this podcast, as it really helps us. And if you have friends who might get value from this episode, please share the link with them. You can find us at weaudition.com, or for your iPhone or iPad by searching WeAudition on the App Store. See you next time.